What are some of the best choices you've made in your life? Stopped doing hard drugs. Finished treatment for Hep C. Cured. Going back to school for what I love. Architecture. Just bought a car and have held down a job for the past year. Took a tab of LSD. Ended up having a terrible night and dissecting everything I hated about myself. Quit my job and immediately went back to school. Maintained a 4.0 which allowed me to get scholarships grants aid. And within a year I'll be done. Already worked a few seasons in my field and have a job lined up. Ready to hit the ground and crush life. Thanks LSD. Your mileage may vary on that one though. I can't help but feel like I just got extremely lucky. Once when I was on it, I looked in the mirror and noticed just how fat I was. Dropped 70 pounds and am now at a healthy weight. I'm glad people never really asked me what made me officially commit to a diet lol. My ex-girlfriend got hooked on H so I broke it off. 1. I slipped a Narcan into her bag before she walked out the door. 2. Later that week, I heard she tried to purposely OD. Someone found the Narcan and brought her back. Apparently, she turned her life around after that. It sounds super trivial but keeping a diary, even if it's just to keep track of what you did that day, our memories can only store so much. Being in touch with your feelings and exactly how you live your life on a day-to-day basis makes a huge difference to your overall well-being. Writing something down not only makes you realize exactly how you feel, but it forces you to accept something rather than repress it. And that's the first step in tackling troubling thoughts. It's done wonders for my mental health and working out what my goals in life are. Walking out of an easy job. Paid the bills with minimal effort but I knew I was capable of more. Knew if I waited to job hunt and get interviews, I'd just keep putting it off. If I quit, I had to do something. Went to lunch, didn't go back. 2 years later, I've doubled my income at a job just as easy except I actually feel like I have a chance of getting ahead now. Leaving an abusive relationship even though I love them very much. Sometimes you have to put yourself first. I recall reading about a college professor who always said on the first day of every semester that it's good to want to save the world, but it's okay if you only save one person, and it's okay if that person is you. I stopped smoking weed. Hear me out, I have nothing against people that smoke weed at all. I just realized that I started lying to myself to justify smoking, so at that point I decided I needed to change something. I also thought I could get all my schoolwork done whilst high and almost failed out of college my first semester. Realized that I wasn't getting the most out of life that I could because I was smoking all the time. Since I stopped I've gotten only 2 C's in 2 years of school and have found myself feeling much healthier and happier. While in a tumultuous relationship I chose to not be jealous or resentful towards my partner or anyone else. The biggest thing was realizing that it truly was a choice. When I felt jealous I previously took it personally, for no reason whatsoever, but felt so much more free, stable, and loving when I chose to not do that. It's carried over to a lot of other aspects of my life and has truly helped me to judge and take situations for what they are, allowing me to feel loved a lot easier. This isn't going to sound like much, but I decided to appeal the suspension of my financial aid privileges so I could go to the closest university to my house. I have a wife and kids to worry about so I can't just leave. We are getting by okay but there's no way I could afford to add tuition into my budget. Anyway, after almost 2 years of growling back and forth between us, my renewal of privileges was finally approved and I start school on September at the ripe old age of 31. You're 31. Not too old. I'm 72 and I take classes whenever there's something interesting. Languages, Revit 3D architecture design, construction, physics, astronomy, maybe a philosophy course later this year. Never stop learning, for career advancement or just for the fun of it. Getting sober, absolutely the best decision ever. Never knew life could be this good. Same here, 11 months for me today. Going back to high school. I'm almost done. Only 14 years late. Worth it. Me too. I'm 54 and I graduated this Wednesday night. I went back to continuation school and sat in a classroom. The tutors were my son's age. Class of 2018 rocks. Having a full hysterectomy due to endometriosis and adenomyosis. so that I could be healthier for my daughter while her dad battles a very rare form of cancer. We are no longer together, but are best friends and company parent very well. Hey, on that secondary note, thanks for being such a good co-parent. My parents divorced when I was a kid and they still despise each other. Almost 10 years later, it made things a lot harder than they had to be. Your daughter is 1000% better off for that, so thank you. Noticing the guy crying hysterically on the 3rd floor at my old college. Saw him begin motioning to climb over the ledge, so I ran up those flights of stairs so fast. Caught him just before he jumped and pulled him back over the railing. Well, I'm heading back to college in the fall to study something different. I just beat cancer and have been feeling bored with the work I do lately, so I want to study something else and make a change. It's exciting and I'm feeling really positive lately. I met this girl my first year in the Navy. She was Russian and in the US on a work visa. She was studying English and got to spend the summer in the US as a part of her university program. While she was here, she was working as a lifeguard for the apartment pool and I was swimming every day till I could pass a swim qual for a Navy school I was going to. After a few days of flirting and conversation, I find out she lived in apartment 101 and I lived in 102 of the same building. She was the girl next door. She told me her dream was to get an American education, but unfortunately she would have to leave at the end of the summer. If you know anything about military pay, you get an extra allowance for housing if you're married. I married her so she could start her dream and I'd get paid more. We agreed that if it didn't work out, we would divorce when she got her green card. It was risky. I could go to jail, and she could get deported and never be able to return. But I fell in love with her and she me. This next August will be our 11-year anniversary and we have 2 kids. I can't imagine my life without her now. Sometimes the risk is worth it. Just plug your nose and jump. Whoa, this is like a modern fairy tale. I am genuinely happy for you. Breaking up with the emotionally manipulative girlfriend. I think we're all in that situation with a partner at some point or other, and finally taking the step to get away from them and realize you don't need them is a big part of emotional maturity. Stop stressing about school and grades so much. My whole life I've felt like it's been a swirl of A, B, C, D, F and GPA. When I realized I wanted something else after school, my entire outlook and motivation to exist changed. So much this. I was usually bent on exceeding expectations and trying to hit the 4.0. Would be peed with a 3.8. My brother would be happy with a 2.5. I didn't finish and had to get help. He's an accountant. C's get degrees. Got off my prescription anxiety medication. First Valium, then Klonopin, which I was on between 10th grade to my freshman year of college. I got hooked on the shoots. Started abusing them to get high, experimented with other prescriptions, stole prescriptions, stole money from my family. I was a major scumbag to be honest, but off to drugs led me to dropping out of college. I decided that was it. All they did was make me tired and lazy, and I turned into such a bad person. But upon getting off them with the help of my psychiatrist, I started a regular gym routine, got my first job, enrolled in EMS classes and got back to community college. Now I'm a nursing student with a job in EMS, and I look and feel better than I ever have before in my life. I have no regrets and I feel fortunate that I got to get my life back on the road it was meant to be on, because I know a lot of other people have not. Finally getting onto antidepressants and anti-anxiety medication. Legit a night and day difference after several months and changing a dosage. Therapy was helpful, but mine was bad enough to merit medicine and I'll never go back. Moving 2,000 miles away by myself. Marrying my wife. Along with being a loving, hilarious, gorgeous geek, she had the emotional intelligence to help me go to therapy and get past decades of baggage from my family, because she had done the same to get through her childhood issues. I love seeing how she is as a mother to our 2 kids. I'm so glad they'll never have reason to fear their mother like I did. This is mine too. She makes me want to be a better man every day because she deserves it. When I was in kindergarten, if you did stuff well and didn't get in trouble, you earned points that you could buy a reward with. I saved mine up for a long time to get a mini gumball machine. But when I finally went to the get it, I made a split-second decision to buy a glass rose that was another one of the prizes because I was about to visit my grandma and I wanted to give her something. But now every time I visit my grandma for years I get a little warm feeling seeing that rose sitting carefully in her living room above the fireplace. This is so adorable. So many adults are still afraid to give up what they want, but don't need, for the benefit of someone else. But you discovered the benefits of selflessness in kindergarten. That's awesome. Being patient and listening before I respond to issues. I'm almost 40. You kids out there should pay heed to this. Be patient. Take time to reflect, digest and process things. This applies in your personal and professional life. Don't react. Respond. To move to Ireland. Yeah, immigration is not for everyone, but it helped me build a life for myself. Probably my decision to go talk to a therapist about my stress issues. Losing weight. Skin got better, easier to find clothes, better social interactions, lesser judgmental comments. To piggyback on that, not getting winded running or climbing stairs, not feeling hot all the time, while being hotter all the time, pull-ups, sitting on hard surfaces is uncomfortable now, though. Cutting out the toxic people from my life. Recently, it was choosing the professor that I did to be my mentor, or however you call it in English for my bachelor's thesis. I am fairly certain I managed to complete it on time solely based on this one professor, who both motivated me, wrote to me and regularly asked how it's going, and also gave suggestions on books and a lot of other help. I know some of my classmates who didn't make it, and unsurprisingly they had mentors who pretty much gave no help and left them on their own. My husband. Yeah, your husband. Quitting my last job. I was burned out on it. Physically, mentally, emotionally. Every morning I woke up looking for reasons I could call out. Every night I tossed and turned, dreading the next day. I found myself hoping someone would hit me on the way to work, just to have a valid reason not to show up. Then due to safety issues I broke my foot at work. I was out 6 months recovering. When I came back to work, the burnout was worse, not better. So one day, I just quit. We did our morning huddle and stretches. The supervisor talked about how it was going to a busy day, and I just didn't care. I walked off, went to the outbound supervisor, turned in my badge, and straight up told him those job wasn't for me anymore. Despite not having another job lined up, despite wiping out my savings and maxing out 3 credit cards to stay afloat while I was out recovering from my broken foot, I felt like I'd just fried a large weight. I smiled for the first time in months, went and said goodbye to my co-workers, then went outside and waited on my ride. I'm much happier now. I found another job about a month later. I got my GED. I started paying attention to my relationship and saved it when my fiancé planned on ending things. Now I'm applying to colleges to get a computer science degree and working on a book that has been bouncing in my head for decades. So yeah, best decision I ever made. Solving problems with witty humor rather than my fists. Applying for a call center job on Craigslist. Stay with me, folks. So I got this job in 2013 and within 1 year moved up the ranks all the way to supervisor. The company has a remote worker option but they wouldn't let me because they needed me too much in the call center to supervise. So I decided it's time to move and forced their hand. Then I became the first remote supervisor ever and pretty much pioneered the processes for monitoring people remotely. I am now happily working for a mediocre wage from home. Working from home was the dream, and I was able to make it happen. Going minimalist with my possessions. It's just simplified a lot of things in my life and given me focus. On a lark, joining speech and debate while in college. I was really lacking in self-confidence and dealing with a lot of trauma when I first arrived. I went to university just to get away from the mess of some family issues going on. I didn't have a clear vision of where I was going or why. Joining the team helped me in unexpected ways. Having something constructive to do that allowed me to meet good people, gain confidence and presentation skills, and travel around was exactly the experience didn't know I needed. I'm grateful we didn't have to try out for the team because I didn't have any particular talent or charisma for speaking. It was a matter of if you're willing to put in the work and keep your grades up, you can be on the team. Having your ideas valued, Learning new things and talking to different people across the nation about their perspectives was intrinsically motivating. I became a much better student because of that, and also arguably a better person. Quitting smoking. I smoked for 9 years and quit 2.5 months ago. One of my favorite things I can do now is run. As a smoker I could never run for more than 2 minutes without dying. Now I proudly have a 7-minute mile. I wish I could go back in time and undo all the damage smoking did to me, but all I can do is push forward from here and be glad I don't smoke. Screw cigarettes. Heck yeah, keep it going. I smoked a pack a day for 8 years and I'm a year, 1 month, or 3 days clean. Best decision ever. All of us are in this together. I had a rule. Don't flirt if there is no possibility of a relationship. My thinking was if this go badly you're just embarrassing yourself. And if things go well you're just setting up for disappointment. While at my college roommate's wedding I broke that rule to flirt with the maid of honor. Even though she lived 3 time zones away. Yeah, we're married now. Still waiting to make one. I'm 34. Make me proud, man. When I stopped self-harming, I don't know what compelled me to do it, but I just realized one day that it wasn't something I should keep doing. It took a while, and I am still fighting the urge to do it every day, but I am so glad I stopped. If anyone here ever needs to talk, I'm here. I quit Facebook long time ago, even though all my family and friends are still there and updating regularly. Signed up for Facebook in 2005 when you were required to have a .edu email address. Went through the lengthy process of closing my account in 2015 and have enjoyed all my extra free time since, which I now use to read it. Broke up with a crazy ex and decided to go study abroad in France for half a year. Backstory: one night I got jumped by a group of people walking back to my house late at night. End up getting pretty roughed up, so my buddies take me to the hospital. I called my then girlfriend at the time about what happened and all she said was, "Oh okay, I'll try to maybe visit you tomorrow then." Well, I was peeved that she didn't seem to care about how I was at all, so I decided to break up with her the next day and told her to not even bother maybe coming to see me. As I was looking in the mirror at my broken nose, 2 black eyes, and a busted tooth, for some reason I said screw it, I am going to study abroad somewhere to get away from my horrible ex for a while. Ended up studying in France, where I traveled all over Europe while meeting a great group of friends I still talk to this day. Living in another country changed my perspective on the world and made me a better person, all because I got jumped and my ex triggering me to do something extreme. Going traveling on my own. Easily the best experience of my life, though now all I want to do is keep traveling and I don't have the money. This is cliche and cheesy as heck, but who cares? I chose not to try to kill myself again after a failed attempt when I was 19. When I woke up in that hospital bed, surrounded by friends and family, it was the wake-up call I needed. Up to that point, I hadn't realized how my death would affect those around me. I honestly thought I would just fade away, leave no void behind me. Seeing how many people wanted me to recover showed me that my death would hurt more people than I knew. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, but I dragged myself out of that depression without any medical help, having exhausted all the options available to me, and now it's 7 years later. I'm not recovered, and things will probably always be difficult, but I will never try that again. Not now that I know what I'd be leaving behind. You have been visited by the hamster of joy. Comment: I like chicken to live a happy and full of joy like the joy hamster life. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day, you magnificent people.